Welcome to the Light Reading Podcast. I'm Phil Harvey. I'm an editor at Light Reading, and joining me on the line is Jeff Baumgartner, our Light Reading colleague, who is covering CES 2020 in Las Vegas. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Phil. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. It is the last day of CES for you, and how are you feeling? Are you hanging in there?
Yeah, I think I've survived it so far. This is my favorite day of CES. When a visit to the airport is part of the plan. But I'm going to see a couple sessions this morning on ATSC 3.0 and an 8K TV, 8K video, and then see what they have to say, and then I'm going to head back home.
Excellent. And hopefully, I don't know if you have one of those step monitor things, but I'm sure you're getting all your steps in.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a given out here, just kind of based on the expanse of the show, and that it's pretty much taken up the whole strip.
Literally wandering the desert. The thing I want to talk about, I'm interested to hear what you're doing today, but I'm equally interested to hear what you did last night. Not everything, but just the part where you covered the Quibi keynote. Quibi is the new company by Meg Whitman and Jeffrey Katzenberg, and they are targeting mobile entertainment and the mobile user. And I guess the question I have is, did they do a good enough job, in your opinion, of setting themselves apart from their pack in terms of all the other companies that are offering some kind of, streaming service or have some kind of streaming available on mobile devices?
Yeah, I was actually surprised by them a little bit, because the idea of, hey, we're going to do premium content on the mobile phone doesn't sound all that exciting, just on its own. We've seen, there's a lot of companies that are streaming content to the phone, but, they took it to, a different area. It was pretty clear that based on what they talked about, but also the demo that they did, that they put a ton of thought and, kind of new technology into this concept that they're putting out there. And kind of the headline thing from the technology side was this technique that they call turnstile, and style, being STYLE. And
clever.
And the idea is, when you're using your phone, sometimes you're looking at it in portrait mode, where you're holding it like a glass of water, and then other times, you're looking in landscape mode. And and I think typically, when you're watching a video, maybe you're starting in landscape, and then you'll flip the phone to portrait, and what happens? It shrinks the landscape, across, the portrait mode. There's a bunch of black bars on the top and bottom side of the image. So what they've done is whenever they produce something, there's kind of like two edits that are done. One that's optimized for the portrait view and one for the landscape view. And both of those are sent out at the same time, but the viewer only sees the feed that's optimized for the phone's orientation at that given time. And the idea is also that you can kind of seamlessly switch, as you move your phone. And the demo was interesting. There wasn't, a lot of, latency or lag, as you, turned your phone. So that was, an interesting idea. And, they want to take they talked about some other ideas where they can take advantage of other capabilities of the phone, the GPS and cameras, and a lot of other ways to kind of integrate other functions of the phone into the storytelling. It was at least impressed that there was that much put into it. We'll just have to see what the content's like, when April 6th comes up, when they launch it, and it's going to cost some money. It's like $4.99 for the ad-supported one, and $7.99 for no ads.
Yeah, interesting. And their strategy, well, first of all, I am also impressed that they thought through the mechanics of how we consume mobile video and put that into the production process. I think that's a smart thing to do, and I like the fact that their platform accommodates that in the content creation process. Um, Boy, I don't know that I want to pay for that necessarily and add yet another streaming service to my life. I wonder if they're going to partner up with different providers of content that I already like, and did they talk about that, or are they going to be basically their own thing, kind of like Disney Plus, where it's just its own walled garden?
Yeah, I mean they're teaming up with some well-known Hollywood producers for like their movies and TV shows. And just real quick there, I mean they're going to kind of divide these things into these 6 to 10 minute chapters or segments. So you can kind of do like a little bite-sized view, come back to it.
Okay.
But also with the news and documentaries, they're going to do a lot of those too. But they're teaming up with NBC, BBC, TMZ. I mean, a
Right.
lot of different brands and companies that are going to develop and produce content just for that platform.
Okay, so arguably they're taking this differentiation and really running with it, because
Yeah.
arguably what I just said about them using and distributing other content, it kind of wouldn't work because all that content was cut and produced to run in television format, not in holding my phone on the bus format.
Right. Yeah. So you're not going to see. Yeah, I don't think they're going to kind of retrofit, previously produced stuff. This is like all original stuff, and the numbers that they put out was like 175 shows and 8,500 episodes, of short form fare, kind of in the first year, and then
Yeah.
it's going to divide it into movies and episodic unscripted series and documentaries, and then the news and lifestyle stuff is going to be this daily essentials category. So
Well,
yeah,
I don't doubt they can pull it off because Katzenberg does know a couple of people in Hollywood. Um,
he does. Yeah.
and
Yeah, I
so
think,
they have that going for them. Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
yeah, and I think that the trick for them is going to be, I'm sure they're going to get a lot of interest from consumers when they launch, kind of out of the chute. There's going to be a lot of curiosity.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of buzz, since they have some big names attached to a lot of these series. But, the trick, like any of these new services, is going to be to maintain, that momentum, once the novelty feel of it wears off,
Yeah.
and they do have a big distribution partner and advertising partner in T-Mobile. I mean, they're going to distribute and bundle Quibi and to kind of get them going, with some scale. But at the same time, you got a lot of doomsayers out there that all remember Go 90 and how that service from Verizon, which was mobile focused,
Yeah.
did not make it. So there's comparisons there, unfair or not, we'll see. But that's kind of the challenge I see them on the forefront. As they get going, they're going to have to kind of keep it stoked with new content just to keep people engaged. Since it's a subscription, subscription is the core model for it.
Yeah, it's interesting because for the mobile operators like T-Mobile, it's yet another hook to hold on to subscribers. So that's why I think, that we're covering it. Obviously it's weighing in on the pay TV business. So it's matters from a cable point of view that these things are emerging, but it also matters from a mobile phone point or mobile provider point of view, because this is yet another thing that's going to drive demand for bandwidth and drive demand for and hopefully lower churn, when these operators are trying to hold on to customers and become more profitable. Yeah, the novelty factor is going to be a tough thing to pass by, and I think they are just going to have to throw a lot more content at it and keep it feeling new as often as possible. That seems to be a common theme among all of these subscription video on demand platforms. So I guess that's kind of where we'll have to leave it. We'll just have to see what happens next. But it's interesting that T-Mobile's involved. I'm sure the other mobile operators will be considering it as well, because anything they can add to their bundle to use that bandwidth and also get subscribers hooked, I think is a pretty smart thing to do, even if they're not seeing a lot of money for it.
Right. One thing that did come up during their talk yesterday, 5G, they would bring that up, hey, 5G is going to be a good thing for us.
Right.
They didn't announce anything like this, but, I guess you could conceivably go, well, hey, maybe not T-Mobile, but some other, maybe partners up and says, hey, if you, jump on our 5G service, we'll throw in a year of Quibi or, something, another enticement, to get people to move to 5G, because I think that's still a big question, right?
Yeah, you have that premium network experience, and now they're going to try to pair that up with a premium content experience. You don't necessarily need the premium network to run the premium content, but that most subscribers aren't going to be sophisticated enough to tell, so they're going to do a little marketing sleight of hand for them. Before you have to get on about your day, so I know so today you've actually got some stuff that you're covering that's kind of more for the we'll say the living room or the big screen and the cable operator experience. So you'll be looking at some developments in 8K, and then what else was on the hook? Some standard stuff, right?
Yeah, there's a session today, kind of an update on what's going on with ATSC 3.0, which is the next generation broadcast signaling standard. And
right, okay.
that sounds kind of so what, but they're kind of the consumer brand for it is like next gen TV or something. And it's an interesting idea, instead of just broadcasting, the primary video signal and kind of being done with it. They're kind of trying to turn it into kind of an IP OTT sort of capability, where you can reach, smartphones and other devices that can take that signal. But then, they're talking about interactivity and a lot of ancillary services that can be delivered, just over the air. Instead of just the ATSC 1.0 stuff we have today. So that's all over the air. There's a lot of regulatory stuff that needs to be figured out, in terms of what are the cable operators going to get involved? Are they going to retransmit 3.0 signal? I don't think they want to. I think they're pretty happy with what they're doing now. But so that's going to be kind of a mess they're going to have to deal with. But as far as like the over the air thing, I mean, that's they got to get a lot more consumer device traction. They're going to talk a little bit more about that today as well.
Yeah, and to put it in the competitive landscape, the words over the air and wireless are nearly synonymous when it comes to reaching consumers with entertainment. So if you have a channel or a studio or a television station reaching out over the air, and that's competing with your wireless provider and their bundling deals, then it's all trying to get to consumer devices and hold that consumer's attention for as long as possible. So yeah, you're right. It's kind of in the weeds, but it definitely matters, and we're glad you're covering it. So I will let it. We'll wrap it up there and let you get on with your wandering in the desert. Have a great day today, and thanks so much for being on the podcast.
All right, thanks a lot, Phil.
Thanks for listening to the Light Reading Podcast. This podcast is edited and produced by Tian Fu in New York. Our show notes are all available at lightreading.com. As a reminder, you can get the Light Reading Podcast from Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, SoundCloud, and dozens of other platforms and apps. Thanks again for listening, and thanks for getting your telecom news from lightreading.com.